Yeah, that's very true. Can I turn to a broader question about how you perceive gender relations in Islam? There's a raging debate, and again, it's usually online about what is the role of the men and women in the family? What's the role of men and women in society? And of course, there are some who have a very liberal interpretation, and some who have an interpretation which makes it impossible for those families to function. But I'm just talking about. I want to know about the average. How do normal Muslims view this? Let's first consider the idea of patriarchy, which is, of course, a buzzword in the West. Can we describe the Islamic faith to be a patriarchal faith because of the way Islam views the father as the authority figure in the family and the responsible person and the person who has to provide, for the maintenance of the entire household? That, for me, sounds like a very patriarchal idea, but the connotations attached to patriarchy, of course, are very negative. So how would you navigate that term, patriarchy?
I think our idea of patriarchy really culturally goes back to the Victorians, because the man in certainly middle class and upper class society had absolute dominion over the women.
Right. Property rights,
everything. Inheritance. Right. You married, you went from your father's house to your husband's house, and you could carry none of that wealth with you.
Yeah.
Right? And if your father died and you inherited a great amount of land, it was your husband's, and he could do with it what he liked. Spend it, drink it, give it away.
Yeah.
And so that is a terrifying prospect. And I think really, as Westerners, as Europeans, as British people, we're traumatized by that. The women, we're traumatized by this legacy. We're traumatized by the fact that there was no protection from the heavy drinking, from the beatings, that we couldn't escape because we had no money. And this is not this is not the Muslim experience. Look at Khadija radiallahu anha. She had inherited wealth from husbands. She had built an empire that she could keep after marriage. We have always had this. And yet we're supposed to look at Islam through the lens of Victorian patriarchy and superimpose then feminism on top of it. Reject all of that. We don't want anything to do with that.
We start again.
We start
with a blank
again.
sheet. So
yeah.
then,
yeah. And also, where is does Allah Ta'ala say this is a patriarchal religion, women are lesser? No, these interpretations were never what was understood.
Right.
The woman is a cover for the man is a cover for the woman.
Yeah.
The man has one over on the woman, but what does that mean? What does it mean? He's got duties that are really, really heavy and beautiful. And actually, me and my husband speak about this a lot because he's studied, alhamdulillah, he's got ijaza in fiqh. And
yes.
It's a man thrives with the weight of caring for people, and a woman thrives with that care being lifted and being looked after. No point is one pressuring or destroying or saying to the other change,
right,
but growing together and thriving.
Yeah.
I want to say to my young sisters, you're talking to someone who for 30 years as an adult lived the ultimate in feminism. I worked since I was 16. I was hugely successful at the age of 30. I earned more than my husband. No one could tell me what to do. I was entirely liberated from any man. And what did that look like? Well, I'm telling you, you have your time of the month, you're tired. There's nobody showing you sympathy because, hey, I don't need your sympathy. If you said I don't need your sympathy 100 times, don't expect on day 101 to go, I'm in pain. Well, you said you didn't need sympathy, right? I carried my own bags. When I was pregnant, no man was carrying my bags. I had some really horrible experiences during pregnancy. I remember once, and I hope you keep this in because it's really telling about vulnerable moments that women have, okay? Because we need to accept our vulnerability. I was 8 months pregnant. I was showing off how I could carry my 8 months pregnancy and still be at the Labour Party conference. And it was 1:00 in the morning because I wasn't going to go home early just because I'm pregnant. And I started to have really bad pains. I mean, like stabbing pains. And so I was sitting on a Brighton pavement in the rain at 1 in the morning waiting for a taxi. And the taxi came and 2 young men from Blair's government, by the way, jumped into the taxi. And I went, wait, I'm waiting as well. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And I said, but can't you let me go in? And then one of them said, he was 20 years old, why? I said, because I'm pregnant. He said, well, it's not my baby, is it? Is that really the society that we want? Is that really the liberty and egalitarian equality that we're fighting for? Don't be fooled. I want to give another example because this made me laugh. I was on an underground train a couple of years ago, and I saw a young black sister, and she was looking like she was absolutely going to faint. I don't know whether she was ill or just had been working hard. And she was exhausted, standing up. And next to me was a young man, and he looked Asian. I just love being an auntie. That's something else, by the way. You know, Islam gives you a status to grow into.
Yes.
I can be as an annoying and bossy, and people are like, oh, it's auntie, leave auntie alone. It's wonderful, you know, you have that space. Anyway,
Yes.
The young man next to me, young Asian guy, and I said, excuse me, brother, are you Muslim? He said, yes, I am. I said, then get out of that chair and let the Muslim sister sit down. And he was like, oh, okay, auntie. Do you know what she did? No, I'm all right, thanks. I said, you're going to sit down and you're about to have a 3-stop lecture from me about how to enable men to look after you. Yeah, because we're not enabling our men any longer to be the carers. And that makes them bitter and frigid and more likely to say, I don't want to care for you. You don't deserve it. You're this, you're that. Leading to these schisms and illnesses. And I just wanted to end on that point of the patriarchy. Islam, Allah Ta'ala sees believers and cares about piety. That's very clear from all of the texts. There isn't a male-female divide. You know, it's not men in this line. Oh, yeah, you get fast-tracked to Jannah. Show me that tract. Show me where it says that. It doesn't. Alhamdulillah.